So the essence of being in circle, the idea is that as humans, we have an innate need to be seen and witnessed, especially when we're going through a difficult time. It's a deep human need to be not alone in those times of difficulties. And so the idea of a circle is, and it's again, it's an ancient practice that has been in many cultures. And I've been really lucky because I've been in circles, in the really well supported circles for over 20 years, where I've learned for myself to be a part of circles and have taken some training where I learned how to facilitate circles for others. And it's become such a norm that I feel really it feels really weird when I'm in a circle that doesn't hold those safe containers. And that's really what it is, creating a safe container, or safe as good as it gets. And the way that works is we follow certain guidelines to create this. And for one, it's if you're in the circle, that means whoever is there in that moment will agree to the fact that whatever is shared in the circle will not leave the circle. That means if I share something really vulnerable, I know that it's not going to leave the room. That means if my friend here is there, or even a stranger is there, and they feel really touched by what I'm sharing and have a desire to talk to me about it later, they can come to me and say, hey, when this theme was up, you spoke about XYZ. I would love to hear more about it. Then you can say, okay, yeah, I feel comfortable talking to you more about that. Or you can say, no, that was just for the circle. And that alone, I feel in our society is, to me, it created so much safety. It was incredible. Yeah. Another aspect, so there's 5 aspects of circle that are really important. So confidentiality, I would say, is definitely the first. And then the next one is we listen from the heart. That means when somebody else is sharing their personal experience, and that's what those circles are about, you share, there's often a theme or a topic, and we just go around and only the person speaks that holds a talking piece, or whose turn it is, and everybody else will listen. And listening from the heart, that means in that moment I'm going to put all my own thoughts aside. And that takes some practice, because it might be like, oh yeah, me too, or like, oh, when it comes to me, I'm going to say this. So it takes quite a bit of practice and self-discipline to get to a point where you go to like, okay, I'm going to put that aside. This person deserves my undivided love and attention right now. And when I say I'm listening from the heart, that also means like I'm doing the best that I can to listen through my heart, meaning I'm putting judgment aside. I'm looking at this person as a complete being that needs support, that needs to be held in this place of like they're taking a huge risk to share who they are. And then the next part is number 3, we speak from the heart. That means when it's my turn, I'm also just speaking from the heart. That means like I'm speaking not logical and trying to analyze and this and that. I'm actually just speaking how I feel in that very moment. It can be very basic, and that creates a lot of beauty and vulnerability within that. And then another aspect is brevity. That means I am not going to ramble on and ramble. And that is also something that takes a little bit of practice for people, because in our society, we often think more is more. I find sometimes when you're really in this place of just like, you have the space that you can, it's your turn now, and you're allowed to go into your heart and actually wait for a moment until the right words come up. There's a real power in it, and sometimes it needs a lot less. Where in our society, often in order to get a word in, we have to like, oh, yeah, we have to start talking before the words have actually formed properly. So we talk a lot of the stuff that isn't maybe the right, when we say the same thing over and over. So it's not necessarily a good thing always. And then there's another aspect, and that is spontaneity. And that kind of ties in all the other parts, where when I'm listening to someone else with love, and I have those ideas of what I want to say now, what I want to speak when it's my turn, it creates some trust in the fact that whatever I am meant to speak or share at that moment is going to show up whenever it's my turn. It takes some time to build that trust, but the more people are in circle, the more they realize, wow, this is actually working out that way. And within that, when we follow those aspects, what happens is often circles take on a life of their own. And what I mean by that is that this person speaks here and we're all giving them their attention. There's something that gets touched in all of us. And then the next person speaks and they might riff off what this person said or might have been touched by that. And then that person speaks and it touches all of us. So it goes around. The more vulnerable people are, the more beautiful it actually gets. And there's often tears of release because we're not used to often have a space where we are being really held within a place where like this was hard for me or this is hard. So as we're allowed to, or it doesn't always just have to be hard things. It could be like I'm really excited about, or I'm really confused about this, or just it's about truth. It's about truth and being allowed to be authentic, and then it's okay and safe to be so. Yeah. So that's basically the energy of circles, and it keeps going around. I mean, there's different variations of circles. Some of them are, we go around once or a few times, and actually a traditional talking circle would go until nobody has said anything for an entire round. And sometimes that can go on for hours. I haven't had one of those in a long time, but they are magical. They are magical. They're a magic thing on their own. My main focus at the moment is circles where I bring together men and women because that is really close to my heart. It is a place where, and what sparked me to do so is I see a lot of pain within men and women through what patriarchy has done to all of us, really, not just women, to men as well, and the counter swings of that. And what I noticed is as women and men hear each other in a vulnerable place, like not all men or all women, but this particular woman or this particular man, in their personal experience, it touches something and something shifts. And now it's not just a stranger anymore. Now this is an actual person and they're showing themselves vulnerable, and that's true magic. I love this part of my work. Yeah, it's very special.